Okay, so in this video we're focusing on A-level PE and in particular the social aspects part of paper 2 and really looking at the development routes and talent identification, in particular focus on East Germany. You will also need to know about the UK talent ID and Australia, but this video is really focusing on the East German model. So just to start with a bit of historical context from the East German model, basically post World War II, East Germany or Germany were looking for some international recognition, and following World War II, Germany was divided in two, following East and West. The East really took on a communist sort of approach, whereas the West, Germany, was more of the capitalist and the American UK sort of approach to economics and systems. So there was this clash of ideologies straight away between East and West, and the Berlin Wall was an example of the divide between the two. East Germany sort of fell into the Eastern Bloc sort of communist approach, and they developed their sort of centralized elite sports program. Now, centralized is a key word that you need to incorporate into your answers, and this means everyone doing the same thing, which is dictated by the government. So the East German Talent ID program followed a system where they took 7-year-olds and basically screened them using a series of different fitness tests and competency tests. And they analyzed the results of all these 7-year-olds nationally and put them into the National Sports Federation, who basically decided who was going to be good at sport and worthwhile investing time and effort in. Those that were qualifying for it were basically put into local training centres. They went there several times a week. By the age of 10, if they were showing like any sort of potential, they were transferred to a boarding school where they would be training significantly. Now, this was a compulsory or virtually compulsory move that they had to go to. And at these schools, they essentially received 2 hours of academic PE study, throughout the day, whereas 6 hours of their day was spent just focusing on their sports and their physical training. So at these training institutes and these elite boarding schools, they had full-time coaches working with the athletes, and these athletes were entered into a games system called the Spartacad Games, which is essentially called like a mini Olympics, which was an Eastern Bloc sort of games, which was used to test these young athletes in this competitive environment. The athletes were constantly monitored and regularly checked to see if they were making progress, and they used a lot of sports science and sports medicine to do this. Now, all of this was state funded and controlled. Like I said earlier, it was centralized. State funded means the government, the country, were paying for all this through taxes. So with any of these talent ID models, you need to be able to criticize them. And one of the main criticisms from the East German model was the state-sponsored doping, which is basically enforcing performance-enhancing drugs on their athletes. They developed a thing called the State Plan 1425, so try and remember that, which is basically a secret code name for a program developed to enhance doping techniques and create performance-enhancing drugs that could evade detection, and they basically forced athletes onto these drugs unknowingly. They were told they were taking supplements and vitamins, yet they were taking steroids and things like testosterone. Heidi Krieger was an athlete, an East German athlete, and she was a very successful East German athlete, a shot putter, and didn't realize that she was being given these steroids and testosterone, and she was given so much that eventually she had to make a sex change, and he became Andreas Krieger. So definitely have that as an example for criticism of the East German model. So that was a really quick overview of the early East German model of talent identification. Make sure you revise it. make sure you know some examples and criticisms of this model. Good luck.